Well, we're back for part two. Can you believe that 1 week has gone by already, guys?
No, not really. Not really.
Yeah, 3 hours and we didn't get to the songs.
Yeah. I got some good feedback though. Got some good messages from some of the people. They thought that our presentation and the historical analysis that we gave was interesting. And it's always pleasant to get a couple of those nice comments, isn't it, from people? Because at the end of the day, besides the two of us, the three of us just doing it for ourselves, you know, if other people are finding what we're saying is interesting, well, that's even better, isn't it?
Definitely.
That's really good. Yeah. That's nice. Well, it's nice if they go back and explore it themselves, you know, go and get it out and, you know, pick it up from somewhere and do something. That's what I always think these things are about. It's about, so we should say good morning to Arvin and good morning to Kubrick Lover. Morning, guys. Hope you're good.
You guys were waiting. We're 10 minutes late. Sorry. I had to put up with two guys here dueling their guitars, you see. I had my two co-hosts here flashing Stratocasters at me.
Every home should have a black Strat, Mr. Walton.
Yeah. You know, so I had to endure that for 10 minutes, guys, of just, you know, being flashed Strats. If you guys are good in the chat, you guys will get a flash Strat too.
Flash Strat 2? Is that the follow up to Flash Strat 1? Is it?
Some Strats Flash 2. Yeah, it's a family show, so we're not going anywhere down that
possible
path.
Taste. I think is the phrase you're looking for.
You guys okay? How's it going in your part of the world?
Well, Brad's on. You're all right, aren't you, Brad? Allowed out and about, yes.
Yeah, I'm out and about. You know, we've got a announcement today, actually, that things are looking even better as of midnight tonight. So I haven't had a chance to go through all the restrictions that have been lifted, but I believe we're looking pretty good at the moment. I mean, we've had 21 days or 22 days of no positive cases at all.
Wow.
Yeah.
Whereas we, in contrast, have had 21 days of 20,000 cases a day.
That's insane.
God. I tell you.
Here in Melbourne, Victoria, Australia, they were stressing about 700 a day, and you like 20,000. It's just like.
Well, that's across the country, not in one city, but yeah, it's a lot, and hence we've got this 4-week lockdown going on. You know, which we're 2 weeks into. But I don't know. I saw yesterday that they're definitely going to be opening up. You know, lockdown is going to end. December the 2nd, I think it's the 3rd. And so but I think we're going to. I don't know about you about the Australians, but here we just haven't been able to control ourselves. We just not. Especially the. The young have not been able to contain themselves. When the pub's been open, and they did. Well, I saw yesterday they opened up some stuff yesterday, and you just get, as soon as you open something up, millions of people go. They just really, my daughter works my oldest daughter works in a garden centre, and when we had our first lockdown, when they opened up. The first week, they took more money per day than they took in any other days. It was just, she said it was amazing. It was like 50% more money. It was just every day there were queues out the door. the garden centre. So fortunately, she's still open, but fortunately, but yeah, it's quite crazy, and I don't see it changing much anytime soon. Really, I think there's British are a funny breed about they'll do things to a certain point, and then they'll start just doing stuff. There's a kind of at some point it's that wartime spirit, but actually it's all going to be a bit anti-authoritarian, I notice now if I go out driving and stuff, there's people out doing stuff. I drive into Bristol, near where I live, and if I take my daughter to school, which I do sometimes in Bristol, it's like normal rush hour traffic. Blind, I thought we were in lockdown. Yeah, we're all in lockdown, except we're all going to work and stuff.
Yeah,
but anyway,
lucky we've got music.
I'm keeping out the way and keeping the fingers crossed that the vaccine is all the vaccines are looking really good. So I'm crossing my fingers that soon we'll have the jab and we'll be all right. Oh, talking about, I went for my flu jab yesterday. It was done with military precision. I was in and out in under 2 minutes. It was amazing. I went, to my hand. Woman said, "What's your date of birth?" Write it down. Then next woman said, "Stand still." Lasered to me with a temperature gun, and they went round the corner. The woman said, "Take your thing off." Thank you, right? That's it. Gone. What, is that it? I felt cheated. took so little time.
Oh, look, I think at the end of the day, Kubrick Glover's right here. I think we just have to do the best we can, considering what's going on, and hope and pray, that things do get better. But I want to echo our other co-host, if it wasn't for music, and or social media, we would have some problems, wouldn't we? Because I remember Simon and I and Carl, when we were in the first lockdown, Brad, back in April, we took advantage of the time that we had, and I think we did about 3 or 4 shows a week back then, Simon, for,
Even I'm working all the time, so it doesn't make any difference to me.
And we were trying to find topics to discuss.
Anything will do, but at any port in a storm. But this made me laugh. It's entirely, so I've worked all the way through, right, without stopping. In fact, it's been more manic at work doing what I do. I do resource management for IT project managers. We've taken on more people. Last month I took on 8 people. Now I'm taking on another 6 this month. Contractors, because we've got so much work to do. Because we've just got all the standard stuff and the COVID stuff and the EU exit stuff. Because the department of the government I work in is about food and rural affairs, which is a lot of what Brexit is about, food change. So we've just been manic. And then yesterday, the Chancellor announced that the public service workers will be having a pay freeze for the next 1,000 years. so our reward for working all the way through, flogging our guts out, is to get absolutely nothing, pay it all back for the next 500 years.
Oh, well,
So thank you very much, Mr. Sunak, for those few kind words of support.
Yeah, so there'll be no new Stratocasters for Simon next year, guys.
No new bloody nothing for Simon.
No new amps or anything like that.
Deservedly, I may say. Bloody civil servants. Look at them.
So do you want to do a bit of a shout out to a friend of ours who's gone through a bit of bad news? If you guys in the chat haven't already heard.
Yes, can we send our love and our condolences to Ben Coombs and Amanda Coombs, because their mother died 2 days ago, which is very sad indeed.
It is.
So we're
sending
our love and our condolences to Ben.
A couple of live streams. Ben had a habit of putting his mum on Mother's Day, and she sat there for a couple of hours talking. So
well, her and his father, they're quite the in that local Toronto scene, weren't they? Music scene and stuff. And his dad played, and where he got his 67 telly from and stuff. So quite so yeah. Well, it's just terrible, really. So yes, our love and our condolences to them, and I hope they're all right.
How do you spell Coombs?
COOMBS. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. I just want to echo, and we mentioned it last night as well. When I found out that Ben's mum had passed away, so he was one of the reasons why. Just to give you a bit of a historical lesson here, Brad, if you want, a couple of seconds.
Yep.
We all met on the Johnny Bean show, and Ben had a show called Canucks with Guitars, and he used to do it with a guy called Rich, and I loved it because it was completely unscripted mayhem and entertainment. It was just fantastic. It was just a couple of ordinary guys taking advantage, doing what we're doing with social media. And I remember talking to him about doing something with the Rolling Stones, in and around the Rolling Stones, and he was interested, and he said, "Look, I'll jump on and I'll be your first guest." So he'll always have a fondness in my heart for being our first guest a couple of years ago now. So,
and I was
bored one day.
I was one of the first guests on his show when he first started out.
Yeah. So he's it's even though we're international, it's a small tight community. But so in a small kind of way, Amanda and Ben, will dedicate this show to the memory of your mum. I'm sure she would have heard this album a few times, and a lot of the songs that we're going to talk about many times. Certainly a popular album. So it's my pleasure then. It's my pleasure for us to go through the skip and play and the ranking of the album. So I don't have a lot to say about the songs, believe it or not, because it's a group effort. So I'm sure that you guys have got a bit more information there. So the first song is "I Looked Away," and it's a Whitlock and Clapton song. They wrote it together. And in my opinion, it's certainly a song where you can see that Clapton's wearing his heart on his sleeve. He opens with it's a beautiful ballad. Sad. It's a sad song. The vocals are shared between Bobby and Eric. And I think the key for me, guys, because this song could just meander to nowhere, the key for me is the rhythm section of that band. It just keeps it going. I think that's the key about this song. It's and it gives us probably a hint of where maybe the album is going. I give it a 9 out of 10, solid opener, and I definitely play it.
Brad, you next. Go on.
Next. All right. Yeah. Well, for me, it's that era of music, the way they used to open records was always set the mood, because they actually structured their albums to set like a journey thing, rather than records these days are a little bit different. But we won't go on about that. But basically, I think I Looked Away, great vocals, the dual vocals together. Lyrically, it's a beautiful song, great song. It's a nice opener, great guitar licks, great soloing. I really like. I had to listen to it a few times because I was sure that I could hear Dane Allman on this, but I know it's only Eric Clapton. It's like dual guitar parts that are intertwined, and I think when Duane Allman's on the record, it's very similar, if not the same, the interplay between the guitars. So for me, it's a great opener for the album. The outro solo, I put Clapton outro solo for me is just, goosebumpy sort of material, classic Clapton, great song to drive to. This is one of those songs when you're on a trip where it's a long journey, you put the CD on and it's a great opener. I gave it 8 out of 10.
Yeah, okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And is it a skip or a play?
Definitely a play. Definitely a play.
Cool.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I'd agree. I mean, I think it's a great opening. That great, da, 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 da. It's lovely sort of opening riff, kind of sort of, and this. I think we should say. I mean, I agree with you about the rhythm section. I mean, the bass playing and the drum, amazing, all the way through. I mean, I just, struck time and again with their inventiveness and their, doing the songs. I mean, hats off to Carl Rattle. I mean, God, just brilliant work on this. I think, I speak as a guitarist, so if I've noticed that's a good thing from my point of view. I'd also say that that dual singing thing with Whitlock and Clapton is fantastic as well. And Whitlock's a great vocalist. When he does that, the other bits, a fantastic kind of a thing. So yeah, for me, 9. It's a fantastic line. But I think it's a great opener to the album. I think really strong song.
Yep.
Not too long. So to the point, sharp to the point. But I think that the subject matter of the song is definitely where the album lies.
Yeah. Look, I agree with you, Simon. I think it's it's a solid opener. It's beautiful. It's certainly, Eric playing the guitar, certainly on that song.
Yeah.
I'm going to let you guys into a secret. If I didn't tell you guys the last time we were live, when I first heard the album when I was a young guy, and this is before social media and before anyone actually told me, I thought the other guy singing was Dwayne Allman.
Oh,
really?
Yeah. I didn't know it was Bobby Whitlock until probably I was about 18 or 19 and having a conversation and yeah. I love Dwayne Allman. I love his playing and slide playing and his singing. Oh really? Yeah. No, he's not singing. Oh, who's singing then? Oh, it's the keyboard player.
Yeah. Really good too. Could we just say good morning to Ellen Forrestine and good morning to Nelson Rodriguez as well. Thanks for joining, guys. Good to see you. Hope you're good.
Thanks, Nelson, for joining us. Okay, so that's good. We're on par there. So Bell Bottom Blues. I think we discussed that song a little bit last time we were live. For the first 10 or 15 years, it was just credited to Clapton, and it kind of upset Bobby because, he wrote...
On this version I've got is credited just to, I don't know if you could see this one, is it? They are by Eric Clapton.
Yeah.
Clearly not.
So he was kind of upset that it didn't include his name on there, but they managed to get that sorted. And again, I'm going to keep repeating this, guys. If you haven't checked out Bobby and Coco's YouTube channel where they go through all the stuff that we're talking about from Bobby's perspective, which is pretty lucid for a guy who's 75, it's not bad. But, finally good to see his name on there. But, for me, it's just a hauntingly romantic song. We found out a little bit later on, again, with the advent of social media and other books, that it was, a love song to Patty because she wanted a pair of, bell-bottom
jeans.
jeans. I love the harmonics, before, setting into the solo. I love that. And I love that tabla that's in there. And it's interesting because I'm just going to read a couple of notes here so that I'm not going to be accused of plagiarizing. But when I do refer to the notes, I'll tell you guys. So Bobby Whitlock says that he remembers Jim was given some tabla drums by Ravi Shankar's drummer. So so they were playing that, and obviously that Indian perspective from hanging around with George Harrison, Simon. That would have been, a common theme for these guys. So interesting how they managed to put that into a kind of interesting love song. I won't say much more about it. I'm just going to add probably to some of you guys' comments because, I love the song. It's a 9 out of 10 for me. Definitely a play. And I love the live versions of this song. And there's a multitude of them, depending on Eric's state, whether or not you think they're good or bad. But check out some of the live versions.
Yes.
So it's not really good. Got it. Yeah, that's better. This is really good. I got this. Really like this. I think we need to say something about, if I can, at this point. The interesting to me about the album is that it is an album of 1970. It is an album. It has things about it that are of 1970, and that willingness to stretch out, that willingness to jam, that willingness just to play, to explore, to do things are things that you would do then, but I don't think you would do 20 years later. As a general thing. Anyway, sorry, Brad. On you go.
I'm enjoying your point of view, but this one for me, it's a beautiful song. One of my favorites on the album. For a long time, it was my favorite on the album, and realistically, the way I've sort of rated this one, it is because I've heard lots of live versions of it. I actually heard the last episode I mentioned that I got into Clapton's later stuff, like live. A lot of his live stuff, I watched that 24 Nights, that Royal Albert Hall DVD released, and he does Bell Bottom Blues on that. And that song used to bring me emotion, like in an emotional state, used to make me a little bit sad, like feel the pain. But obviously going backwards, listening to this song, I prefer this version now because it's recorded in the 70s. It's got the whole emotive side of it. He's picked up, for me, great melodies. The vocal harmonies are beautiful. The feel on the drums and the bass, the rhythm section was just so perfect on this. You couldn't imagine a more perfect way to structure a rhythm section for this song. That's all the instrumentation as well. And it was a perfect vehicle for Clapton to express himself vocally and on guitar. And I don't want to say too much more now, other than I give it a 10 out of 10. It's the strongest song for me. And if I listen to it and I'm thinking retrospectively about, Love Lost or something like that, or the lyrics in it alone are so powerful. And for a guy of his age at that time, and I mean, he was feeling that. That's the blues right there. So for me, 10 out of 10.
I'm not going to argue with that. I'm not going to, I'm not going to argue with that at all, Simon. A 10 out of, that's not beyond me. I can consider that a good score.
Oh yeah, I mean it's one of the classics on the album, isn't it? I mean I agree. Yep. I agree that the singing. Yeah, I mean the way he sings. Do you want to see me crawl across the floor to you? Do you want to hear me beg you to take you back? I mean that's just all. It's all in there, isn't it? I mean it's and he's going for it, Eric. I mean it's not, and I feel the authenticity of that as a thing, and I think it's one of the most important things about this record. One of the words I'd use is authentic, in its feel and in its message, in its vibe, and what he's doing on it. The messages he's got, an astonishing kind of passionate message to Patty, incredible, really. That 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 it's there, and and all that. I don't want to fade away, and the falsetto bit as well. I was just amazing, really. For me, it's a 10 as well, completely. It is one of the great things. I think it has a kind of one of the things that that struck me, that several of the songs have a kind of Beatlesque Harrison feel to them as well. Obviously, because they played on both records, I can understand why that is. But it is one of the things that struck me about it. You think, oh, you hear bits, chord sequences, stuff. You go, oh yeah, that could be on All Things Must Pass, kind of thing. I think so. I think that the guitar solo. First couple, I think that. His guitar solo, I love the guitar solos on this, but I think I don't know about you, Brady, for me, they have a kind of delicate feel to them almost. They're very impassioned, but there's something in the centre of them that's quite sort of delicate and sort of it's not just out and out,
The band were dynamic, and that there was so much dynamics in the band itself, but in this song especially, I just hear the purity in his love for Paddy. Like you could see that there was listen to the song, guys, make your own judgment. But for me, that's a really powerful love song, blues song. He's begging, he's bleeding for that woman. He wants that woman.
Well,
yes,
Patty gives a very good insight onto it as well. If you guys haven't checked out her biography, it's cheap on Kindle. It's only about $5. But when she heard that album, he gave her a copy of it, and
didn't he play it to her, Andrew? Didn't he?
He played. Yeah, gave her a copy. Played it, and she was embarrassed because she knew straight away that album was about her on that second song, and she wanted the record. She wanted people to stop listening to it, because she was sure that everyone was going to know that song was about her. Because at that stage they were trying to hide their relationship, but I don't think they were too successful, were they?
The lyrical content in that song, he actually said those words to her.
Yeah.
So,
I have no doubt.
It's the flaw, you want to see me begging you to take me back.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Out of a conversation. So there you go.
So did you give that a 10 out of 10, Simon?
I'm going 10 out of 10 with that. Yeah, I'd just like to say that I think that that just to say it again, I love the organ bits and the stuff like that. I think it's fits in that, and he's always since Blind Faith, he's always had an organ player, hasn't he? Yeah. Eric, pretty much. When I saw him in it, when I saw him in '81, I think he had Gary Brooker from Procol Harum playing. Yeah, but obviously what he decided is that whatever guitar, he'd always have an organ player in there, didn't he? I mean, it obviously became part of his sound as a thing. I'm going to have an organ player, because obviously, I presume Steve Winwood, that was a good idea. So, I think that as I say that again, I'm going to mention them again. I'm going to mention them a lot. The rhythm section. I think the drumming and the bass playing are just stellar on this record. And they do so much to make it, make those things. And this is a blues song without the blues structure, which I like. It's a classic to me, completely. One of the great rock songs.
Okay, so we're within par again, guys. So keep on growing. So now things are starting to cook up, guys. So according to Bobby Whitlock's book, there are 4 tracks, guitar tracks on there that Eric did on that on this particular cut. So again, top marks to Tom Dowd to be able to do that and do it well. And they apparently did that within a day. So again, that work ethic that they had dispels all the myths that we spoke about, didn't we, in the first show, about them being party central. But I love that song for Bobby Whitlock, because he was the one that made us aware about that song from his point of view. He wrote the words, so it was autobiographical from Bobby's point of view. So we got a couple of songs there that are talking about Eric Clapton. Now we're starting to get something from the other guy, the key, key to the album. He's starting to stick his hand up. So 9 out of 10 for me. I just love it. And again, I love the live versions. If you guys haven't checked out any of those live versions, either with Derek and the Dominoes and some of the stuff that Eric did in the 70s, just some of the jams are phenomenal. And interesting, before I pass it on to you guys, a song that came out of a jam. So, from when they were in Hurtwood, when they were jamming for hours and days on end. 9 out of 10, and definitely a play.
Keep On Growing for me. Great intro guitars. The introductory there, the way the guitars come in. Love the swinging, funky bass and drum vibe. Awesome guitar solo. Eric's just, that to me is just putting his head back and playing. He's not focusing on trying to play any perfection. He's just doing what Eric does best, which is just playing to the music and feeling it. This song in particular is my favorite bass and drum rhythm section song. I just love the rhythm section on this song. The harmonies as well, the vocal harmonies. You just couldn't imagine doing it any better for a song. So for me, that's a 9.5. And the only reason I is Bell Bottom Blues, I needed to keep that 10 for the strength of that song and what it means to me. But 9.5. Wow. And it's definitely it's one of those songs that you put that song while you're driving down the road, on an open freeway, you just can't help it. Just like you just
keep on growing. Keep
on
growing. Yeah.
Driving along.
Love it.
Keep on growing. Just 2 chords. Yeah.
That bass line is just infectious. You can't
see what I mean?
And that guitar fade at the end is, interesting because there's a song that we're going to talk about later on that's got this wonderful guitar fade intro.
Yeah.
But this song here has got again, and I look forward. We won't have any time this year, guys, to do it, but I look forward to the producers series that we'll do next year, because again, just remarkable how Tom Dowd just has the ability to just do that very well. Top marks.
Yeah. I think, you're absolutely right. I mean, that thing about, remember they recorded this in 2 weeks. So you're not mucking about, so you're doing, guitar overdubs at the end and all of that. It's all, she's done in a day. It's like there's some tremendous kind of focus and organization there. Oh, yes. Going back to our, one of our sort of pillars of this, which is you couldn't have had a studio full of drug-addled musicians lying about if you're going to work at this intensity, this pace, and this level of, I'd say, artistic brilliance as well, playing wise and, passion and feel. If you were all just completely out of it, which, you just couldn't do it. I mean, that's what I feel about it, is that, that these tracks are testament to that, to the work ethic, to the, getting down to it and doing it and producing fantastic records, for me. And I love it. I mean, for me, Brad, that we were talking last week about the amp that he used on it. That he used a 5-watt. See that listening back after we did it, and obviously listened to it a couple of times this week. That particularly the beginning to this kind of, you think, it's a kind of small amp sound. It is, it does feel like that kind of, not, it's not that huge. That he's a I'm not fantastic, you know. It sounds great, but it just struck me that particular thing, because he starts off with it, that you go, yeah, it does sound like a small amp. It doesn't sound like some sort of large.
Dink. Yeah,
Yeah,
you're right, Simon. Yeah.
you know,
Dink.
the advantage.
It's not a Marshall, is it?
No, well, my point exactly. It isn't. And when you listen to it, having known that, you know, he's using this Fender Champ, probably, and you listen to it, you go, oh, yeah. Because I've got little kind of, you know, little amps as well, and you know, and I recognise the sort of sound. I've got this little kind of transistor amp that I'm not saying it's the same, but you kind of get that sort of thing about it. That but again, I love it. I think that, Brad, to pick up on your point about the you know, the twin guitar solos at the end, that you're right. He's just playing, isn't he? There's no I think one of the interesting things about lots of the solos on here is that it's about the interplay between two instruments. It's not about telling a story with the thing. They're not starting off low and then going high. He's just playing, you know? And do you know what I mean? There's that thing. I mean, there's a big thing at the moment. I've seen quite a lot of people talk about it, you know, modern guitar players, which is fine. They talk about the story of the solo. Where are you going to go? What are you going to do? And I feel with this that he's not doing that. He's just like, I'm coming in and I'm going. And if I go up here and then I go down here and I go back, you know, I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in the interplay between the two instruments. And good. Hi, Adam Cross. How you doing? Welcome. But yeah, that interplay between those instruments, and they're really, that's what he's interested in, is the you know, the tension, the playoff between the two instruments, and I'm not interested in that at all, which I think is really cool. I think it's, you know, for me it's a 10, you know.
Oh, wow. Okay, so we're within par. You know, there's no. Okay, all right. So I'm always amazed, and a little bit happy that we're within par, because, you know.
Well, I think that this is, you know, I would say, you know, in my world, this is one of the classic albums, rock albums. You know, there's no getting away from it. Whenever you know, it is one of the classic rock albums, and you know, yeah, absolutely. And if we're giving it a 4, you know, then that's just wrong. You know, I accept completely that it's a particular thing. You know, you've got to like that kind of 1969, 1970 kind of theme that they bring. You know, this is what they're doing. But you know, for me, it's one of the giants of that era's rock music, really. And you know,
that's an interesting thing that you say, Simon, because obviously I wasn't around when this album came out. And I love this album for two things. The first reason why I love this album is because it's a classic example of blues rock playing. If you want to, and you can jam along to a lot of these songs as well. You know, for example, Key to the Highway, you can jam along to that if you're a beginner player or an expert. You know, it's just one of the magical things about this album. But also, on the other hand, Simon and Brad, I love this album because of where it sits historically. I love that vibe, you know, that early 70s. Who wouldn't love to go back to be in that part of history, you know, and be around these guys when they were recording and playing the stuff? But, you know, when someone invents the time machine, I'll be there.
I'll be there. Anyway. Back to Miami, 1970. Can I say one more thing about it? That obviously this is you know, Whitlock wrote the lyrics and stuff, but they fit in with the general theme of the album, don't they? I mean, you know, it's just brilliant about you know, that it still fits in with the general theme of the album, and is not out of place. It's not about something else. One thing I will say about the lyrics is that this has a kind of you know, it's got stuff like about praying, keep praying, Lord, that he could understand me. It has a kind of religious thing to it. That Southern Baptist kind of Southern religion thing that Bobby Whitlock would bring. It's not really Eric's thing, is it? So in a sense, there is a thing here that there's, you know, that kind of gospel-y kind of thing that Bobby Whitlock, you know, brings to it. As a thing. I've heard a couple of things about what they were going for was that I'm sure you guys read this, that they were going for a kind of Sam and Dave type feel, kind of almost as, you know, two soul singers, that kind of twin soul singer thing going there, which is lovely, yeah. So a great record. And I thought I'd point that out for the lyrics wise. Just as a little thing in there that tells you it's Whitlock and not Clapton, really.
Yep. And I'll just want to echo Simon before we move on to the next song. Obviously, being the son of a Southern preacher, Bobby Whitlock, was so. Those references to the Creator, and classic themes of the blues, isn't it? The devil's got me again. I'm trying. I'm trying. I'm really an angel. but I love that. It's fantastic. So, if anybody didn't realise after listening to the first 3 songs on the album where it was going, you were confronted with Nobody Knows when you're down and out. Bang, smack. That's Eric playing the blues. Clearly, and it's kind of weird because it's not a song that you would expect after listening to these 3 songs. I love it. If you listen to it in context, and it's like, oh, okay, so we're going to stop off here and we're going to play some blues now. That's the feeling I get with this song. I love it. You've got that bluesy Hammond sound with the organ going there, and then you've got that lovely throaty solo that Eric has, and what else do I want to say about that? I won't talk about the historical fact about it. No, but
Go on.
yeah, I love it. It was one of the first handful of blues songs that I ever tried to learn and jammed along with. It's a 9 out of 10 for me, and definitely a play.
Well, for me, Nobody Knows You when you're down and out. It's a soulful bluesy vocal by Eric. I really focus on Eric singing a lot. When he sings, he's one of these unique singers, especially in this era when back in the 70s, and his voice was developing into like a very bluesy, like an old blues singer. He was actually, I don't know, I can hear a lot of Freddie King stylings in his voice. But for me, yeah, his voice really stood out in this one. Very soulful, bluesy, great organs like the keyboards, that vibe.
Yeah.
This is a really cool vibe. It just gives a whole new dimension to it. The guitar, the slide, and the licks through the song, the solo. It's just hanging in on the edge, classic EC style. He's hanging in there. He's doing his thing, and some great playing overall. And I believe this is the first track with Dane Allman on it.
That's right. Enter Dwayne Allman. Yes, stage left.
Playing. It's sparing but tasty. That's what I put down. He's a very tasty player. I mean, when you think of slide players, I think of guys like Dane Allman as a slide player to listen to. And, he inspired so many great slide players, even modern day blues guys like Derek Trucks and all these players that are around playing the slide now. They all look at Dane Allman as slide. His slide playing was very emotive. You can almost feel like at times his guitar's crying. That's what it sounds like, the way he plays the slides. I gave the song,
delicate, isn't it?
Yeah, just sparing, but and his dynamics on the guitar. I gave it 8 out of 10. I love the song, but I had to put it in context of where I rated the 10 out of 10. So 8 out of 10. Definitely a play.
Yeah. I just want to echo a little bit of what you said there, and I didn't want to what's the word, throw in everything, but there's just a couple of things that I think's really, really important for us. It's Bobby Whitlock, because he's the sober one. He's the guy that can remember a lot of things. So he tells us that Eric played his champ and Dwayne Allman was playing a Fender Twin, and his Fender Twin was set back away and on the right from Eric. So what's really interesting is that they, in the studio, they were working out how and where they were going to put these amps to get that sound and you know, between playing the guitar and having a slide player, because you've got those different dynamics and those different phrasing going on, and because we're guitar players, we know exactly you know exactly what they're trying to achieve, and you know, something that a lot of guys don't tell us, but you know, we've got that information from Bobby. You know, they tried to work it out and they got it well.
Yes, to get.
Sorry for interrupting.
No, but the interesting part is you're trying to get the amps so they balance, don't you?
Yeah.
Kind of by moving them around the studio, literally, you know, rather than today.
Without doing this,
Simon. Without doing that, you're going.
Without doing that.
Yeah, well, exactly my point. It's sort of, yes, the epitome of the analog version of balancing your instruments. You know, move that back over there.
Bloody amp.
Move that back over there a bit more. You know, go in the corridor, just down the road. You know, yeah, that's
What's
it.
Brad's favourite one? Get that bloody bass player over there by the drummer. Adam, I hope you're not a bass player.
Clearly, yeah. Clearly, the bass player's over by the drummer on this record. I mean, yeah, go over there, clear off. I mean, I'd echo that. I mean, I think, you know, that, as I said, you know, enter Dwayne Allman, and I think that you know, in Dwayne Allman playing the slide and Eric playing the you know, fingers, you have that contrast. You have two people, you know, and for me, their playing is not competitive. Their playing is an exploration. They push and prod and kind of, you know, and kind of play along with, hey, you play this on, you know, tremendous kind of, you know, simpatico playing for me. Listen to what the other guys are playing, and that, you know, quite, you know, I'll go back to that word delicate slide, you know, Dwayne always got that kind of delicacy about his playing. It's not just all hard, you know, banging away at it. It has that, as you say, Brad, it makes it sound like it's kind of singing kind of tone. And that, you know, that contrast offers a slide, and then the way you play is I think makes, you know, obviously you can see that Clapton is energized by this. He doesn't have, well, and one of the things, he doesn't have to do them all himself, does he? He can get somebody else to do some of it. But I think that, you know, I agree with you about, I think the passion, the singing is fantastic. You know, again, Clapton really singing out of his boots. I love the piano, Barrowhouse piano, and the organ stuff, and you know, and it's got a proper blues ending as well. So what every record needs, and track 4, which is the end of side 1, is a proper blues ending. So for me, it's a 9. I mean, I think that these 4 songs, it struck me having played it a lot. I was thinking to myself, so what other album has side 1 is as strong as this record? You know, when you think about it, and I've got a lot of records from this sort of era, you know, and for me, you know, and it's in its genre, so it's a particular thing. But when it's like, for me, it's one of the greatest, you know, side 1s that you could come up with. For me, you know, and out of those albums, you know, there's no weak link in those 4 songs. They all do something different. They all, you know, you're introduced to proper blues thing here, so there's a bit of a, you know, there's a journey going on, you know, a musical journey. You've got somebody right, new turning on track 4. You know, I think to myself, you know, so, you know, Led Zeppelin 4, you know, is it a, you know, it's not a worse run of songs than Led Zeppelin 4 side 1, you know. I mean, it just isn't, you know, for me.
And the song was recorded live, no overdubs.
No overdubs, just, you see, you know, beautiful, and that, you know, for me, you know, it's a thrilling. You know,
I think
for me,
I like the interplay between Clapton and Dwayne Allman as well, because if you listen to the way they play together, just sort of shadowing or mirroring what you were saying there, Simon, is that they work together to complement each other, not compete, and that they push each other without trying to overdo each other. So one would do something and the other one would play the same lick in a slide version or vice versa. They would just, and they obviously that came down to maturity and mutual admiration for each other. You can hear it.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think that the key word is they are listening to each other and they are playing from what they hear and stuff as much as anything else, you know, which is fantastic, you know, and which is, you know, that backs up, you know, Eric's view that, you know, that Dwayne Norton was a kind of musical brother he never had kind of thing. And, you know, it's, you know, you can tell that it's one of the great musical partnerships. What would they have done?
Yeah. Yeah, good point. So that's a play for you, Simon?
Oh, you know, I can't imagine. You know, there's nothing. As I say, for me, yeah, I've decided to skip it, even though I've given it a 9.
So the next song is "I Am Yours," and before I get into my little chat about it, for the first 10 years when I listened to this album, I did skip this song. And the reason why I skipped it, and you guys will forgive me, because I was looking for blues. I was looking for some rock. You know, it was this album for me for a long time was a guitar lesson, was musical lessons. So it wasn't until, you know, after I'd got rid of that period when I started listening to it as a music fan that I certainly understood the song. And again, the information that we read gives us a bit of an understanding to the song. So how many times have we said, guys, that we go back and we negotiate the song from a different perspective? So, you know, the fact that Eric Clapton was reading Persian poetry just goes to show what a lot of these British musicians were doing at that time. You know, if one guy wasn't studying Eastern meditation, another guy was reading Persian poetry, you know. Fantastic. I just love the song. Again, the tablas, that Eastern feel theme going on, a product of the time, but certainly in 2020 fits well, because, you know, that kind of ethnic exotic music's always in vogue, isn't it? Certainly, you know, now anyway. So it's not foreign, I think, to anybody who hadn't heard Eric Clapton. And if you played that song to them, I think they could relate to that kind of music. I love Dwayne's slide. It's simply beautiful. Eric's vocals were live. It's 9 out of 10 for me, and now definitely a play.
For me, I was still waiting for you to continue on because I was enjoying your explanation. You pretty much took a lot of what I was going to say, so I'm not going to repeat it. But I'll just highlight on there that there was a nice use of percussion on there. I noticed, which I thought that was something mentioning that you didn't mention, and the mellow vibes, like they really captured the mellow vibe of the song as well. Like the dynamics, the mellow mood that they tried to set. That's what I'm trying to get at. They definitely went down that path. I love the dual vocals and the harmony.
Hey, Brad Cook.
I'm a big sucker. I don't know if you've noticed now with a lot of these that we've done, the vocal harmony, the vocal melody is so important to me. So I love a song. Great melody and great harmonies. And it can be as simple as a chorus line with a backing vocal that's not the same.
Yeah.
The masters at it, and these guys did their own way without copying it. Obviously, there was influence there. They forged their own path, and I really do think these guys nailed the dual harmonies and the vocals, the harmonies in this song in particular. So I gave it a 7 out of 10, and that's strictly, I would not skip it, and that's strictly because I rated Bell Bottom Blues 10. I had to put it normally putting it in alignment with where, So for me, 7 and a definite play.
Cool. For me, I think it's really. I think that what's really interesting, if you think about it in the programming sense, after 4 kind of, you know, full-on band rock songs, you know, actually, it's the perfect kind of light relief something away from a bit of acoustic. Apparently it's a bossa nova. If anyone's interested, pick that up. So that I think is really cool. I think after that opening side, which is intense, full on band, Dwayne Orr's right, that actually this is a kind of a bit of a palate cleanser, if you like. I know it's interesting for side 2, but if you're thinking about it as a 4-sided record, actually, I think it's the perfect thing to have at that point. A little acoustic kind of thing. So, I loved it. I think it's great. I love that tablas thing, stuff like that. It's very, very late 60s, early 70s kind of thing. People, we know that Brian Jones is very interested in that, and Jimmy Page, and all, it's starting to appear a bit of Santana-ish kind of thing, vibe to it, in terms of the tablas and stuff. So you can see where it fits in. So for me it's a solid 8, and I would never skip it, because I think it does a really good job in terms of when programming sense about it. It isn't just another full-on band song. It's something different, and and I think it stands out. Where it is a really good place for it, and it does a really good job. And I love it as a I agree with you about the 2-part harmonies. That kind of. I mean, Whitlock is he doesn't get talked about on singing on this album, but he is by us. So I loved it. And I love Dwayne Allman's playing as well. That's fantastic on it too. So that's and I give it an 8.
Okay, all right. So okay, gentlemen, we're within par, and that's it. Is that a skip, Simon?
Yeah. Skip 8. Skip.
I just want to be clear. Clear.
It's absolutely a play. It's nothing yet that says skip. Morning.
Okay, I just want to say hi to Brad Cook, who's in the chat. He's joining us.
Morning, Brad. Nice for you to join.
I just picked up my phone and thought I'll throw it out there because I can't see the messages. So, I'll have a quick look and I'll just throw a message out there to everyone saying, hi, even though I'm here.
Okay.
Hey.
So I'm just having a bit of a conversation in the chat with Kubrick Lover. So Kubrick Lover asked me about did Dwayne Allman play guitar on that album, and I replied back to him saying he played slide. But then I'm just going through my notes and realised actually on the next song that we were going to discuss, Guys Any Day, Dwayne Allman actually plays the guitar normally. He's not playing slide on this song. So interesting song. Again, one of the key things about this song is that we have Bobby Whitlock giving us some feedback. It was a song that they wrote together in Hurtwood in the TV room. It's open D tuning. Just again, I've got to take my hat off to these young musicians working all these tunings out and having the confidence, Simon and Brad, to play it, as opposed to just playing standard. Just gives me the shivers that they had that confidence about them to just do something that may have fallen apart, could have been a catastrophe. If you speak to other musicians about when they've tried to experiment with different kinds of tunings. So, look, I love the song. Again, Simon gave us a couple of lyrics a couple of songs ago, and I've just highlighted these lyrics here. To break the glass and twist the knife into yourself, you've got to be a fool to understand. And that's a man in agony. That's a guy burning up for something he can't have. And if you've ever had your heart broken, and you've got a bottle of scotch and no friends are coming over to keep you company, and you listen to this song, it's not going to make your day or night brighter. Love it. Look, I love the song. It's a 9 out of 10. I'm sorry, guys. I seem to be doing a lot of high scoring here, but and it's certainly a play.
Excellent. Well, I'm glad you went into the depth you did on that song, because I've mentioned a couple of those things, but I'll deviate away from those and just the things that I highlighted on this song. Great use of the organ, like the very tasteful. I love the stabbing guitars, and I love the bass line in this song. The stabbing guitars in the verses, I meant. The slide is. I thought there was slide on this one. I thought there was slide.
Yeah, there is slide.
Okay.
There is slide. So, according to the information I have, Eric played a Les Paul that was tuned to open D and played both slide and straight guitar at the same time.
Okay.
So yeah, and Dwayne Allman was just playing straight guitar.
Okay, well that makes sense. But I really enjoyed the slide. I don't know if it was very tasty. I thought that was Dwayne Allman. So, and I also made a note here. I don't know if people have really listened to much early Joe Walsh from the 70s. There was a live concert he did. This song in particular reminds me of that live concert album. I've forgotten the name of it. Can't Argue with a Sick Mind or something. I can't remember what it was, but it's very reminiscent of Joe Walsh era. That I picked that up. Whether that influenced Joe Walsh or whether they were listening to it or it was just coincidence, I don't know. But I definitely hear a Joe Walsh vibe in this song. I don't know why. I just think I hear Joe Walsh in there as well.
Yeah, you can't argue with a sick mind, Brad.
Yeah, that's what I thought it was. So if you have a good listen to that, have you got the track list in there?
I have. I have Walk Away, Meadows, Rocky Mountain Way, Time Out, Help Me Through the Night, and Turn to Stone.
I think it was Turn to Stone or Meadows, one of those two. Anyway, if anyone's saying go to that record or find it online somewhere and have a listen. But I gave the song an 8 out of 10. I love the song, but I gave it 8 because of the other ratings I've given, and definite play. It's not a skip for me at all.
Yeah, I first discovered Joe Walsh in the James Gang.
That's right.
A friend of mine had an album called the James Gang's Greatest Hits, I think, and it had a kind of sort of brownie cover, and I loved that record. I thought it was fantastic, kind of. And obviously, I knew Joe Walsh from the Eagles. This is mid-70s, so when after he joined the Eagles, but I didn't realise he had a career before that. So, I love the James Gang. It's one of my favourite things. And I know what you mean about that kind of, because he used to do those kind of slightly weirder songs, wasn't it? A kind of thing. Yeah. For me, I love this song as well. I think it's a great song. The one thing I picked out that you guys haven't spoken about, I'm sure, is that the "Any Day I Will See You Smile" bit is so George Harrison. That could come off All Things Must Pass, Any day I will see you smile. It's like that section. You think, bloody hell, look at that. That could be on All Things Must Pass without a second thought, which is, as I said earlier, completely understandable because it's the same band and stuff, playing. But it's interesting that there's those same things, that kind of influence, and there's the same way of doing things is turns up in different songs, in a different context. So for me, this is an 8 out of 10. It's a fantastic. I'm sorry, I'm just scoring them as almost as individual songs, but also as an album. What I want from an album, and this is. The terrible thing about this album, this is my era. This is what I really like. I like the fact that it's recorded live. I like the fact that there's space in the record. I like the fact that there's impassioned playing and you feel that, all the way through this. And this is that it's, Tom Dowd does a fantastic, job of producing it. But old style producing, as you say, put the guitar amps in the right place to get the right sound, very analog production instead of, put everything on afterwards and stuff like that, and I mean, I'm not against technology. I work in technology, so, it's just a different thing. But, for me, it's just, it's a great song. I love that Any Day I Will See You Smile, that Harrison influence, but, it's a perfect, makes the hairs on the back of my neck stand up whenever he does it, because it's a perfect little bit. You go, yeah, or I do anyway.
Awesome.
So
All
it's
right.
a beautiful thing.
That's and that's not a skip, Simon.
No, no. Never mind. Never mind. You're skipping.
Okay. All right.
Go on, Brad. What did you say?
I Am Yours and Any Day around on the album order if it was to me. I forgot to mention that.
Okay. Oh, okay.
That's just me, though.
The next song, guys, is Key to the Highway. Push the faders up. Push the faders up. So you know, I just want to echo again a little bit of what Simon said in his conclusion for the previous song about Tom Dowd. You know, so if Tom Dowd was there, being miraculous with organising where amps were situated and mics were in a live recording situation, he's running halfway down the toilet, from the toilet with pulling his zip up, isn't he? Screaming out to these guys to turn the faders up because he's hearing something. For me, guys, this song is a masterpiece, and it's just a masterpiece of two guitar players. I still jam to this song to this day. I love it. I've recommended this song to so many people over the years, this particular version of the song. And just one little bit before I pass it over to you guys, is you can hear Eric mess up at the beginning of the first solo, and when he starts singing, you can hear him yell, "Pew!" You know, I just, you know, again,
that's part of it.
If anybody didn't think that, you know, that was a live song by some hot musicians, yeah, I just rest my case. It's a masterpiece. It's a masterpiece of a song. It's 10 out of 10 for me.
Beautiful. Well, for me, this song, Key to the Highway, the fade in, I'm glad you sort of brought us a little bit more clarity all on that. I found it was a great excuse for the band to jam and stretch out a bit. There's quite a bit of that in there. Very laid back vocal by Eric Clapton's vocals, very laid back, very maybe they didn't realise that they were going to be recording it or something. He was just laid back, just in the pocket, just singing it like a bluesman and not trying to perfect notes, not trying to perfect anything, just going for it. And you can really hear the live element in this song more than most of them for me. You know, we keep touching on the fact that a lot of this was recorded live. This one is really evident that it's recorded live. And I like that energy. I like the feel of the song. Obviously, it's a cover, but I love their version, the way they've done it. And tasteful slide playing. I really like the slide playing in this song. I really, really, really do like it. I gave it 8.
Beautiful.
So it's a definite play for me.
Yeah, it's beautiful. That slide playing, you know, it's just beautiful.
If you're just trying to learn how to play slide, that's one.
That's going to make you give up.
I'll go home.
Yeah, I can't do this. I'm going home. I'm going to be a bass player.
I got that. I'll be play tambourine.
No, I think it's a textbook for somewhere to listen to and really hone in on his choice of phrasing and everything, the way he plays. I mean, there's a lot of great slide players, but he was the master, in my opinion. He really, the more I listen to, and I'm really focused on Dane Allman's playing, I don't think he was like one of those pivotal guys on guitar for slide. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, sorry, I wanted to throw that in there.
No. Oh yes, I completely agree. Oh, just one. The thing that I liked about this, as ever with my facts, is that apparently they were in the studio. The reason they were doing it is because they heard a guy called Sam Samudio, who's better known as Sam the Sham from Sam the Sham and the Pharaohs, Woolly Bully. Look it up if you haven't heard it. It's jolly good. Apparently they were doing it next door. So they just decided to start doing it. And as you say, Tom Dowdy's like, turn that bloody thing. Press the record button for God's sake. Yes. Which I think is lovely. Well, I think it's lovely they left it. You know, like he's clever enough, smart enough, you know, for say, God's sake, press the bloody button to, you know, to go, well, we just fade it in, you know, and because it's great, you know, and you know, I think it's kind of, you know, for me, it's a great song. I love it. I agree with you. It's something you can jam along to. It's something you can play the rhythm guitar because it's pretty straight, you know, major chords all the way through, isn't it? Kind of, you know, you know, if you're just getting into it, you know, it's plenty of changes, plenty, you know, just the right sort of level of to feel it. I love the Dwayne and Eric duetting at the end. The solo stuff is fantastic to me, and that thing about, you know, they just circle around and kind of circle around and circle around. You know, it's a very kind of very 70s, you know, late 60s jamming type of thing that you know, it's not really in vogue anymore like that, is it? Or not from many groups like that, but was definitely in vogue then. And you can see them, you know, you can see them sitting in the studio, you know, playing away and going, "Go on, you do it," you know, you know, and kind of I feel that kind of the eye contact in the room, and the kind of, you know, the thing about, you know, and the heads are nodding and the, you know, the fingers are going, and you're sitting around and you're doing it, and it just, you know, fantastic for me. For me, as I say, this is my thing. This is what I really like about it, you know, where it's a kind of, it's a vibe thing. It's not necessarily a journey. It's about a feel. It's about a feeling.
Yeah.
It's about that, about trying to induce almost a kind of meditative thing that you're trying to induce. You know, I'm not going to, you know, drugsy type thing. You know, I think there's this element. You know, if you put your headphones on and close your eyes and sit down and listen and get completely enveloped in it. I don't know if you guys do this. I do. It's from my childhood. When I used to lie out on my parents' parapet, 4 stories up, outside my bedroom window, in the night, put on Dark Side of the Moon and look up at the stars, you know, and you just, you know, you get it. It's just, to me, it's the same thing, and I get involved in the swirl and the emotion of it and stuff. And for me, it's a great thrill, that, you know, and a thrill that modern music doesn't have for me. So I, you know,
Yeah.
so I've gone all hippie. It's the right era, but so for me, you know, as I say, I'm giving this a 10 because it's, you know, as I say, you sit back, close your eyes, and just get lost in it. It's, you know, just brilliant.
Fantastic. I just got to get myself out of trouble too, because I'm not making fun of bass players. Great Vanzini, okay, and Kubrick, because I know Great Vanzini is a bass player, and I'm a wannabe bass player too. So, you know, Brad was the one that started knocking bass players. I'm just continuing from where Brad started.
I love bass players. I was just being funny about the fact that they made him. He had to stand behind the drum kit on that live performance to see the kick drum, and I just,
Yeah.
that's where a bass player belongs. But
Should be, I know. But yeah, I just thought I'd better dig myself out of that one, because I know Great Vanzini.
I noticed you shoved it off onto Brad. Let's look at that Teflon Don over there.
I'll take it, but I just want to make note that I love bass players, and I love John Paul Jones. I love Billy Cox. I mean, I play bass on my record, you know. So like, I'm a bass. I want to be bass player as well. So I'm not knocking bass players.
Well, yes.
Okay.
I agree, Great Vanzini. There's good morning, by the way, Great Vanzini. Hope you're good. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think Carl Raddle's playing on this is stellar, you know, and yeah, the rhythm section is just brilliant on this record all the way through. That's nothing but, you know.
Well, I think the next song sums up that rhythm section. If it's okay for you guys, we'll probably you know, tell the truth. It's you know, a different tempo. They did a laid back version. I'm just trying to
There's a door opening.
find. Yeah, I'm just. It's look. It's a 7 for me. Tell the truth. Look. I love the song. It's got that vibe that certainly we're conscious about and we've been discussing. It's not out of place. Don't get me wrong. You've got that John Lennon low harmony thing going on with Bobby Whitlock. I like that. It's just a different song. 7 out of 10, and I still play it.
Well, for me,
Love. Sorry, Brad. Love the live versions. The live versions are probably better.
that's what I was just about to say.
Okay.
I saw Clapton back in 2007. And he played this song, Derek Trucks on guitar, Bill Bramall as well. I saw him twice on that tour, and they played this song both nights. And it was one of the highlights of the night for me. Just because I've always loved this track, and then seeing it played live, I literally now when I listen to this record, I picture myself in that moment seeing it live where I got goosebumps. So for me, this song, I love the slide, the guitar playing. Eric and Dane Allman, they play great together on this track. It's just, you can hear the interplay. The drums are solid. Bass, I've just put like killer bass lines. They're locked in. They're like one instrument on this record.
That's what makes the song. I think for me, that's what makes. If there's one good example of that back line of the drumming and the bass playing, I think it's certainly this song. So I changed my score. I gave it a 7. I'm going to put it up. It's an 8. It's an 8 because of that, and I forgot that.
I mean, the section carry a lot of weight in this song. They're really holding it together. Everyone's floating on top of this one, and it's got that vibe where you can't help but want to you just can't help it. I gave it a 10 because I just love the song.
Wow.
It does take me back to Bell Bottom Blues. 10. I'll give this one a 10. I saw Eric play Bell Bottom Blues that night as well. I think we spoke about this on part 1 of this. I think he played 5 or 6 tracks from this record on that tour that I saw him. So, but yeah, I gave it a 10, and I just love the song. I love the best part about it for me though is the rhythm section and the dual vocals. I love the dual vocal on this track, and that vocals, come into it for me as well. Not just the music, like the vocals as well. They carry it for this one. That's why I gave it 10 instead of 9, because I just love the vocal track as well. I love the way they did it, and I'm assuming they did it all live too. So
probably, yeah.
There you go.
Say recorded August the 28th and overdubbed September the 1st and September the 4th. So they obviously did some bit of work. Yeah, this is interesting. For me, this is quite an interesting song because this is one of the songs. Just sort of having a chat that has a slightly different. I mean, I looked at the lyrics to these particularly, and this has a slightly different feel. This is not about unrequited love. It's not about. This is about, there you sit looking so cool while the whole show is passing you by. You better come to terms with your fellow men soon because the whole world is shaking now. Can't you feel it? A new dawn is breaking now. Can't you feel it? Has a kind of much more secular feel to it, of the kind of, about the change that was going on in at that time. And yes, and he's not about would you crawl across the floor to take me back kind of thing. A long way from that. Again, I love this song. I think this is one of my favourite records. No lying here. I mean, I'm giving this a 9 because it's it's a great, as I say, that lyrical thing I think is interesting because it provides a bit of a contrast. That that however subtly you might notice or not, as the case may be. For me, I quite like lyrics, so I kind of notice this stuff. But you think, oh yeah, that's interesting. Something else going on, kind of rather. But so for me, all the things you said, I love the harmony singing on it. I love Dwayne's playing on it. I think it's a great riff. I think that it has everything to recommend it, and so I'm giving it a 9. That's my view. It's a great record.
Awesome. So with a par, so I'm happy about that. Yeah. So interesting how the bass and the drums are a solid component to this album, and I'm glad that we are mentioning and conscious of that because I think some of these songs could fall apart if they didn't have that kind of rhythm section. I could just kind of feel this song here falling apart, Simon and Brad, if it wasn't just that driving forward aspect that the song provides.
Well, you can see why they are a magnificent rhythm section, aren't they? I mean, and no wonder, Clapton used car rattle through the 70s, didn't he? He was playing on his stuff. Yes, you can see why. Until he sadly died in the early 80s, didn't he, Carl? But sad. But a great record for me, and great playing. And as I say, it's my thing.
So where are we up to, guys?
We're up to
why does love got to be so sad? Fast guitar. Again, we've got Eric singing about something.
Back on track. Back on track.
He's back on track. Yeah, that's correct. Okay. A Clapton and Whitlock song. One that apparently that they had, I think, written together at Hurtwood. We've got Dwayne playing here. Features, in my opinion, some of Eric's finest guitar playing. A really structured song, according to Bobby Whitlock, but we got to agree with him in a loose way. So I think this is one of the magic things about this album, Simon and Brad, is that it's structured, but it's got that loose vibe, which makes it, a masterpiece. So 9 out of 10 for me, and it's certainly a play.
Well, for me, I love this track. Up-tempo vibes compared to some of the tracks on the album. The bass playing, we're talking about bass playing. This highlights the bass and drums again to me, and it, obviously highlights how much we love bass players, so we're not knocking them ever. Carl Rattle, his bass playing on this reminds me of John Paul Jones. I just threw that in there because there's just that way he moves around on the bass. The guitar play, it's indulgent but interweaves beautifully. I made that as a observation because indulgence isn't a bad thing when it comes out sounding that good, in my opinion. Too overindulgent and too overindulgent with guitar parts or musical parts in the song are very indulgent, but it works. You can't sit there and knock it. So I have to say that this song is a 9 out of 10 for me. And I wanted to say I wish there was one more song on the album like this one. I would have loved to have seen one more track on there, this tempo, and a little bit sort of like that moving bass line, like the John Paul Jones vibe. And but 9 out of 10 for me. Great song, great vocals. I touch on the same things you did, Andrew, but Clapton is pouring his heart out into it vocally. That's what I put here. Clapton's pouring his heart out. You can really hear the pain, you know.
Yeah, you can. Yeah. Again, yeah. Which I think
He's
is one of the
the
attractive things
blues,
about this record.
the blues. That's what I can say.
Yeah. I mean, I wrote down pretty much the same as you guys. You know, fast, strongest, searing guitars, great bass playing. You know, and I noticed that the vocals were a bit in and out, which I presume meant he was singing and playing at the same time. It's kind of a bit of
That's correct.
bit of head movement going on that I could hear. But
Yep.
you know, and I said, you know, you could see why Eric loved playing with Dwayne. You know, there's something about that interweaving of those two guitars that really kicks it off. So I'm giving it a 9. I think it's a great song. Yeah.
I'm glad,
guys,
Simon, you mentioned
I've got
the
old man's
microphone
problem.
singing.
I've got old man's problem. I'm just going to go to the gentleman's room.
Okay, okay.
I'll-
All right.
What were you saying, Andrew?
We'll just do a shout out while he's gone to the toilet. So Warren H, thank you for joining us. Arvin, my friend and supporter of the channel, thank you, brother. Good to see you. Kubrick, lover, another good friend of the channel, my friend. Thank you. You guys are wonderful. We appreciate the fact that you're jumping in and giving us a hand with your comments. Nelson Rodriguez, a very, very good friend of the channel too, is jumping in. Thank you. Great Van Zini. Oh my gosh, you guys spoil us with your comments and your support. We've got 11 people watching us, and Brad and I and Simon take your support to heart. We thank you. And if you haven't checked out Brad's music or his channel, there it is there. That's Brad. Check him out. Subscribe to his social media accounts. He'd appreciate that, and that way you'll keep in touch with anything else Brad does independently from what we do here. And if you haven't subscribed to our channel, please do. We would love to get 1,000 subscribers. We're going to do it the old-fashioned way. We're going to do it the hard way, and we're just going to do it our way. And if it takes a long time to get those 1,000 subs, well, so be it, Brad. We'll just plod on, brother. We'll just plod on.
Keep plodding. I think we're doing a good job regardless of the numbers, Andrew. So we
and we've got Julie. Got Julia in the chat. She manages to pop in and always leaves nice comments for us. Thank you, Julia. Thank you for joining us. But look, you know, the fact that you guys are supporting us and offering your comments, it's wonderful, because, you know, I'm lucky to have Simon and I'm lucky to have Brad here, because, you know, these guys have got a wealth of musical knowledge and they're guitar players, and that also that always helps when you're a music fan and you're a guitar player, because I think you get the best of both worlds. In opinions.
Definitely.
You back, buddy?
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you.
No problem. So we're on to have you ever loved a woman? And okay, so I boy, you're going to get some of the best Stratocaster blues playing ever. That introduction is a lick that any blues man or woman should learn. I love it. Again, we've got anguished singing, a constant theme of the album. It's one of the reasons why we love the album, because it has that authenticity, and it's something that, you know, my co-hosts and I and everyone in the chat tries to find in music. You know, that's why we love this music, because it's got that authenticity. I love the song. I won't say much more about it other than it's a 10 out of 10 for me, and definitely a play.
Wow, that's close to mine, Andrew. Obviously it's a cover, one that resonated quite strongly with Eric. I call it like a blues standard highlight on the record. He's singing it, he's taken it and made it his own though, and you can really hear his connection with the lyrical content. I've written here to just elaborate a little bit more on what you said, Andrew. The opening guitar is killer. That to me is classic EC, classic Eric Clapton. For me, I had to listen to this one twice because I love that intro so much. I wanted to go back and listen, and I gave it a 9 out of 10. I've heard Clapton do this song, a lot of times in his live set, but I love this version of it the most. I really do. And 9 out of 10 for me. Any guitarists that are in the chat or watching this later, if you want to learn some classic Eric Clapton licks, this is like a textbook for it, this song. You can't go past this one as sit there, listen to the licks, and mirror them, try and play them after him. I mean, that's what I do. And I think you may have seen me, Andrew, on Instagram, just sitting there. A song will play, this song will come on, he'll play a lick, I'll try and play the same lick. No better way to learn it than from the master, really. He was the blues. In this era, he was the guy, really. And this highlights his guitar playing. So 9 out of 10 for me.
Simon, before you give us your analysis, I missed Ellen on the shout out. Thank you to Ellen for joining us and being a regular in the chat too. We appreciate your support. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay,
and
sorry,
Julia.
buddy.
And Julia Baldessaro as well. Welcome.
Yeah, I gave her a shout out. Jeepers.
Good. just catching up. Just do my own shout outs,
Oh, you're doing your own shout out. Oh, okay.
I'm getting all individualistic now. Troublesome way, yeah. And the mighty Warren H. But I can agree. Back to his Bluesbreaker roots, of course. Did it in first John Mayall's Bluesbreakers, didn't he? So going back to some probably for the first time, is it? Probably, I don't know. But and of course, first recorded by Freddie King, one of Eric's great heroes, as well. So this is I've written down searing guitar, impassioned vocals, like the overdriven rhythm guitar kind of thing. You can hear that break up in the background. Fantastic bass playing and drums.
Don't you love that?
I do.
Don't you love that? You can hear it. You can hear those. Can't you hear those valves frying?
That poor little amp going. That little amp is just getting put through the ringer on that song because volume. He's just gone and cranked that little amp. The poor thing's probably melting,
squealing.
Yeah,
like that is it. Yeah, fantastic. So again, this is my thing. This is what I love about those. As you, Julia, right? Those beautiful Stratocaster sounds, and again, beautifully kind of mixed and organised. So you've got all the instruments, you can hear them all, and they're all kind of in their place and stuff, and back on theme. Thanks. But for me, this is a 10. It's just a great. I think it's so impassioned. And I feel that passion in it. And Great Vanzini, we reckon that it was a little Fender Champ. I do believe.
Yeah, it was
Fender Champ, pig nose, and Dwayne.
That's right, little pig nose.
Apparently had a Fender Twin.
Fender Twin. But little thing. It's just, but yeah, fantastic. And I would, by the way, not a skip. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it's. Can I say really interesting that we are on? We're on side 3, track 3, and we're still giving these songs top marks. I think it. That the argument about whether double albums are worth it or whatever. For me, there's unbelievable that we've reached the end of side 3, and not only are we not if we're not skipping any of the tunes, but actually we're still giving them, you know, 7, 8, 9s, and 10s, because it's, you know, it's still got everything that you would want in a song. This song has got everything you'd want in an Eric Clapton song. And I think
one
that,
little
you know,
thing that
that's
I want to,
real credit to it.
one little thing I want to add before we move on to the next song too, and if you listen to this version of Have You Ever Loved a Woman and listen to the version that Eric Clapton does on 24 Nights, which is about 20 odd years, maybe a little bit longer, and it's just a wonderful example of Eric Clapton playing the same song but very differently. Just just the intro alone, you know. So and when I say differently, it's not because he's drunk or anything like that, because there were some you know bad performances that he did in the but different just in his skill as a musician, and that's just a great little observation that I've picked up over the years. Listen to those two songs and you hear a master just changing a song. Love it.
He's growing it and changing it as you grow and change as an artist. Yeah.
Blues songs, especially with Clapton, he would approach it from a feel perspective on the night. There was never any, I'm going to try and play that same lick every time in that same spot. It was never like that for Clapton. It was whatever the mood was for the night and how the band sounded play. And a lot of the time the band would follow his lead, like he'd push that dB boost on the Strat and go for a bit more, and then the band would lift and come down with him. So the dips and the emotions and everything that he was feeling, the band were there dynamically with him. He was very, you know, what I'm saying is basically, yeah, you would never hear this song played the same way twice.
No.
Yeah. I agree with you. Brad. So the next song, guys, that we're going to talk about is Little Wing. So I want to say a little bit about this song, but I'm also mindful of my other co-hosts here too, because you know. But
carry on.
Look, I love.
Say what you want to say.
I love this song. I love this song, and you know, if you weren't aware of it, you know, Jimi Hendrix was still alive when they recorded this song. So I've seen articles,
really worth saying that, isn't it?
Yeah, well, that's right, because bloody, you know, journalists who get paid a lot of bloody money have gone out there and said, and you know, and I've read those articles. Oh, you know, it's Eric Clapton's tribute to the passing of Jimi Hendrix. Well, you know,
you take out the passing of.
Yeah. He was still alive. So that's one of the reasons why Brad and I and Simon are doing these shows, because besides giving our opinions, we want to sort of correct some of the historical inaccuracies that we've come across, and that's certainly one of them. Jimi Hendrix was still alive. So again, if anybody had any doubt about the relationship that Eric Clapton had with Jimi Hendrix and said that they were fighting, there was a competition going, pull your head in, because they loved each other. They were brothers, and you know, they wanted to do something for someone that was a big part of their musical lives. Dwayne Allman came up with the intro, which is fascinating. I didn't know that until Bobby Whitlock gave us that information. And I'm not going to say any more about this song. I'll leave it for Simon and Brad, other than it's a 10 out of 10 for me, because it is a tribute to Jimi Hendrix now. And it's because of that I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10 too. And it's a play, and I love all the versions. I love his live versions. The version that he did with Winwood in 2008 is just hair-raising. I love it.
Well, Little Wing is one of my all-time favourite Hendrix songs. That's one that I, learned, or should I say, learned to play. I'm still learning to play it every day. I try and pick it up and pick up the guitar. but because there's so much delicate playing in Hendrix's version. The thing I love about this is Clapton admired Hendrix so much. Their friendship was a mutual respect and admiration for each other. I think Clapton was searching for a long time there around the time he met Hendrix, for someone that he could relate to, and he saw Hendrix and he related to him, but Hendrix was doing it in a way that Clapton couldn't do it, if that makes sense, because he was different stylings, but they were so similar in certain ways. Not saying their playing was similar, but their influences and everything like that. So he was searching for like soul brothers that love the same music, just like we all love the same music, and we're here talking about that same thing. But he admired his songs so much. He's playing his tribute to Hendrix, Little Wing. He made it a completely different version, which is something that I admire. It's not easy to do that. It's very hard to cover a song and try and do it the same way, and it's very hard to do a cover of a song completely different, which he put more of a orchestrated feel to it. Not that there's an orchestra in it, but the orchestrated feel to the song. I'm glad you brought up the intro there. Dwayne Allman came up with the intro. I put a really nice spin on a Hendrix song, paying tribute to his good friend and buddy, soul brother. Tasty guitar solo. I love the dense lead guitar sound. It's very roomy, very, very verby. They really captured a very emotive sound on that. Probably one of the roomier sounds for Clapton on the record. I gave it a 9 out of 10, and it's a definite play for me. I could talk for hours about Hendrix as well, so I'll Clapton and Hendrix.
Don't worry, brother. Don't worry. We've got some Hendrix shows coming up, so that's going to be good.
I mean, it's a beautiful take on a Hendrix song that he wanted to do it differently. So,
yeah, I agree. I think it's the mark of a great musician, isn't it? When you can take a song that is is linked to one of for me one of the greatest guitar players of all time, and you can make it your own somehow. When you play it, it becomes you playing it and not them. And you're not doing a copy. I mean,
completely different, aren't they?
Completely different. And I think that because I'm interested in this because I play in a covers band. I play in a covers band, and the interesting to me is to say you can take a song, and we don't slavishly copy the song, but actually the thing is that somehow if you've got a band, you're just playing in a band, when the 5 of you or whatever is play it somehow, and somebody else is singing it, somebody else is doing stuff, that if it comes out the same but different, and you've put your own thing on it, then I think you've done, that's good, and that's what should happen if you're going to do a cover. And I think this is the perfect example of, copying a Hendrix, doing a Hendrix cover, always a bit hey, but do it absolutely fantastically. Eric sings it brilliantly. Fits in with the theme of the album. It's about a woman, kind of thing. And him and Allman playing fantastically as well. But but it's them playing it and them doing it and not going anywhere near the Hendrix thing. And so I feel that's the mark of that's Clapton's version. That is Clapton doing it and making it his own. And I think that in cover versions, that's quite difficult to do. Because you have to decide, don't you? Am I going to do am I going to be the to cover it slavishly and follow it, or am I going to do my own thing and risk the wrath of people who are going to say, "Oh, it doesn't sound like Hendrix." Good. Have you put your own stamp on it? Yes. So I love this song. I give it a 9. I mean, it's not and I'm playing it, not skipping it, just in case we're not clear.
The dual
Yeah.
vocal. I don't know whether any have mentioned the dual vocal on it too. It's beautiful if you really listen to it. The dual vocal on it. It's sounds so faithful, and I don't know whether that was an overdub later, but you guys might be able to clear that up. But
was it stay?
Sounds very live, like they've done it together in a booth, like together one take.
No, it's live. It's live.
No,
it's recorded
overdubs.
September the 9th, 1970. So,
So
Whitlock and Clapton just sound like they did it live, one take, straight off. That's class, isn't it?
Vocally, they had something that was Anyway,
but it proves to me what great musicians and great singers they are. To be able to do that straight off. Never mind your auto tunes and you're dropping in this, that, and the other. And stuff like that. These guys are, as you just said, they're out there. Got their instruments and they're singing it and playing it and they're doing it straight off. And in a single take, and it sounds fantastic, and it doesn't matter if maybe the odd note is a bit here and there, gives it a human quality, human feel, a human emotion that I think is really important. Those things, the mistakes are as important as the perfect playing, and I never mind mistakes in the slightest. But I feel really strongly about that. That the records from this era, you had to go and do it. Tidying it all up later and kind of mucking about with it, that's it, mate. That's what you get. So, for me, hats off to them, really, because it just proves what great musicians they are, and how much
if you guys
they
haven't
understood
checked
about
out
doing it.
Another good version, check out Stevie Ray Vaughan's version. It's an instrumental version of Little Wing. If you haven't, please do, because that's just a masterful version in itself too. But good point, Simon. Good point. Real musicians in the studio working, doing it live. A band that had been touring, so they were tight. A band that had been rehearsing at Hurtwood, so they knew what was going on. Simon, they knew each other. They knew the nod, the wink, when to come in.
I think that's a really important point, actually, isn't it? That thing about not only had they toured, but they had recorded already. All Things Must Pass. Unknown to the great public, but that actually, and as you say, that kind of intensity of playing, doing a tour, doing the recording, stuff like that, gives you a tightness. It gives you a telepathic or empathetic understanding about when somebody else is going to play, when they're not going to play, when you should move, and when you should do stuff. And I think that's a really good point, and cannot be underestimated. That they went out and played, then they went and recorded, kind of thing.
Cool.
And they must have played some of these songs when they did it. So yeah, yep.
Okay, so it's too late now. The notes that I've made here are directly from Bobby Whitlock, so I just want to just bear with me. It's only a paragraph, but I think Bobby's notes are going to sum up my view of this song and where it sits in the Derek and the Dominoes history. So it's too late. The only reason we did this song was because they needed a country song for the auditions to get us on the Johnny Cash show. That was the only variety show on at that time that had musical guests, but they had to be country. This song was as close as we could get. We didn't tell them that we were a rock and roll act. I do believe that Johnny wanted us regardless. I had to learn this on the spot and record it then as well. So a business decision, kind of exposure of the band kind of song. I love the song. I love the song, especially because we have video footage of the band playing. And we spoke about this on the introduction show, didn't we, guys? That there's a band there with an amp, and they're playing live, and there's nothing going on, there's no trickery, it's a band playing, and Eric Clapton is playing the guitar solo himself. There's no slide solo going on. Because of that, it will always be, and it's one of the first Eric Clapton songs I learnt to play all the way through. So it's a 10 out of 10 for me, because of those things, because of what that song was related to, and I'm sure that you guys will give me a pass for those things.
That's fine.
And it's never a skip.
Thanks for reading that out too, because that actually it opens up for people sort of listening on and tuning in the insight to this song, because it is a slightly different feel to the rest of the tunes. It was one, if you were to sit back and think, does it fit the album? Slightly disjointed to the rest of the song, but it fits in there. It's got I appreciate it. For me, I know it's got a country vibe. I've seen that live footage where the bass player is behind the drum kit, the whole bit, on the Johnny Cash show, which I'm not going to elaborate on because I'll get my head chewed off again.
Yeah.
It definitely has that country with a slight country pop vibe to it. It's just very catchy. I put here, it's even got like a slight Buddy Holly vibe for me.
Yeah.
He recorded it, didn't he, Buddy Holly? He recorded it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's definitely, for me, I gave it a 7 out of 10. I don't skip it. It's not my favourite on the record, but it doesn't have the sentiment that it has to you, Andrew, for me.
Yep.
But I still like it. 7 out of 10 for me.
No problem. Yeah. I know a lot of Clapton fans who don't like the song at all. So, yeah.
I really liked it. For me, it's just a 50s rock and roll song kind of thing, kind of thing. I'm a sucker for that. You got, I'm a sucker for that stuff. No problem. It's like, it's like a familiar territory in many, many ways. I'd also say that for me, I love the sort of call and response vocals as well, and that Whitlock and Clapton do. I think that's really cool. But I think that in terms of where we are with an album, actually, it's a bit of light relief. Actually, I really like it there. I would never skip this because you've had quite a lot of, impassioned blues songs, but you've got to have a bit of levity in a record, and I think that these little sort of other songs that they do, I think is really good. I Am Yours is another good example, but for me, I really like it, and I give this I think I'd give it a 7, but I do really like it, and I understand what it does in the context of programming. The thing, that actually a bit of light relief, a bit of just having a sort of, little rock and roll song kind of thing. It's quite jolly, bit Buddy Holly-ish, bit kind of thing, And if it did the job of getting him on the Johnny Cash show, all the better. But I didn't realise that. But so yeah, I didn't give it a 7, but I certainly wouldn't. I'd certainly play it. I think in the context of the album, it does a really good job, works really well, and I'm very fond of it. And as I say, it's a kind of rock and roll thing, and I'm a sucker for that. I'm all about it.
Okay, so we're just about so we've got the last 2 songs. So
nothing much.
So
okay. Can I just do a share? I just had a look at some of the comments, and
sure.
Thank you for saying that about my EP. Thank you. I just lost it. He just said my EP is epic. So definitely thank you so much.
Cool.
Thanks. I haven't read all the comments in there, guys. I just come across that one, but
that's fantastic. No problem at all, Brad.
I just want to say thank you.
Problem.
Yeah.
No,
Cool.
that's good, and people appreciate the fact that you haven't got the chat up because of we want to keep you live, so it's about internet connections and stuff like that. So we appreciate that. But we're getting into the last two songs. So, in my opinion, guys, Layla should have been the last song on the album. That's just my opinion. And the reason why I think the song should have been the last song on the album, it's because of that epic ending, and we know that piano ending was recorded a week later. So again, hats down to Tom Dowd getting these guys together, saying the song needs something.
I think Andrew's frozen, is he?
Yeah, he has. Yes, you and I haven't frozen. It's not me.
Just to elaborate while he's spinning wheel. Oh, he's not spinning yet, but he's frozen.
No, he's just
I totally agree with what Andrew was saying. This song should have been last on the record. It should have been the last track. To bookend the record. I'm just going to elaborate while Andrew's not with us. But
keep going. There he goes.
What I noticed when I listened to the album as an entirety, because I like to listen to a record from start to finish, and I was just elaborating. Andrew, are you there? Are you spinning? No, it's frozen. Yeah.
Oh, I thought I saw him blink.
Yeah, he's frozen again. So I tend to agree that that should have bookends. When you listen to the album as an entirety, the journey of the album, it would have been the best way to close it. The strength of this song. I don't want to say too much in case Andrew pops back on, because I want to hear his spin on it.
Yeah, it's a really difficult thing, this, isn't it? About programming and stuff like that. And then I kind of understand why Sauntering in the Garden is the last song. Are you back, Mr. Walton?
Yeah, unfortunately it's 8 p.m. here, so I've got no control over my internet connection, guys. But you look, I don't have much more to say before you guys give your analysis on the song. But and I didn't pick up on anything that you guys said, so you may have to repeat it. Sorry, but I love the song. That ending piano part is haunting, and it always was for me when I was a young guy listening to the song on the radio. What's really interesting is that the radio wouldn't play the long version. No. Sometimes it would, and I know that Layla gets a hard knock from some solid hardcore Clapton fans because it is a radio song, but in the context of this whole album, in the context of the message that the musicians were trying to get through, the emotional turmoil that Clapton was going through, it's a masterpiece. It's just brilliant. We were lucky, guys, to have Brad, before we went live, play the intro, and just a simple couple of notes, but the finesse that the guy has at 24 years old at the time, I just love it. So that's all I'm going to say. I'll let you guys talk about it. It's a 10 out of 10 for me. It's a hard song to play. It's a hard song to play. You try playing, I can tell you can play 9 of the other songs on this album pretty well. You try playing Layla.
Well, hard parts, really. It's a hard song to play in one guitarist.
10 out of 10. It's never a skip, Brad.
Never a skip.
Simon. Never a skip.
I do know that this song was inspired by a book he read. I've forgotten the name of the book. I didn't write it down. I thought I'd remember it.
It's called Layla and Majnun.
That's
written by the 7th century Persian poet Nizami. There you are. Brad, yeah. Sorry.
And he resonated with that, like with his, or should I say, his infatuation and relationship with Pattie Boyd. So he felt inspired by that book to write these lyrics. Basically, it's lyrically well written. He sings it one of the most heartfelt vocals, other than Bell Bottom Blues, on the record for me. You can hear his heart bleeding in this one. You can hear his heart bleeding to Paddy.
Yeah.
You know, he did associate with that book. I said that the guitars are screaming. The Dane Allman, especially like all the overplaying, like you're saying that playing that from start to finish as one guitar is very hard because there are two guitar parts in it. He's playing a lot of the choral stuff, or Dane Allman's playing the stuff over the top. And you try and sing and play that guitar lick while you're trying to play Layla. It's almost impossible. It's a moving melody. It's goosebump material for me. All the intro, all the way through to the outro, the piano part at the end. Those melodies that are in the outro with the piano, the guitars, the way they intertwine and they're playing the melody. It's like telling a story. They're singing a song. They're not actually just playing guitar willy-dilly. They're singing a song, and then there's obviously more guitar there. But if that doesn't get you a motive when you're listening to it, I think you need to go get yourself to the doctors, because there's something wrong with you. I'm joking about that, but not everyone resonates with certain styles of music, and that I understand that. But this in particular, if you know the background of Eric's love for Paddy Boyd, and then you associate this song and the words with it, that in itself should make you feel extremely emotional. For me, 10 out of 10. Heartfelt tragedy, love song. Best song on the album other than Bell Bottom Blues for me, and it's a never a skip. I learnt this one on a personal note, like that intro lick. Like I sat and practiced that. It was one of the first things I learnt from Clapton on guitar. I just sat there and learned it, tried to get the feel right. So for me, it's a very song that's close to me as a musician as well, like not just listening to it as from a songwriter perspective. So definitely one of the biggest songs to come out of the 70s as well.
An interesting little quote that stuck in my mind from a journalist that I read years ago, guys, about this song. I don't know who the author was, but it's a quote that I think needs to be discussed by us. He's saying that the album Layla would have been just a good average album, but this song takes it from being an average album. If an album ever needs one song to take it into the stratosphere, it's this song on this album that catapults that whole album. And I agree. I agree with the guy that gave that analysis. I agree. If you had this album without that song, we'd still be talking about it. I think we would be saying, yeah, it's pretty good, but one song takes an album and propels it. It's definitely this one, Simon.
Can I just butt in before, Simon, you give your bit? I just want to elaborate on that too, Andrew. There's probably a handful of songs that I can honestly say that if I'm driving and I pull up to my destination and a song's playing, that I actually wait for the song to finish before I get out of the car. This is one of them. And I don't care whether it's only 2 minutes into the song and it's still got a long way to go. I'll sit there and I'll listen to the whole song, whether I'm going to be late to my appointment or whatever it is, because the song kind of deserves that, in my opinion. It's one of those songs. So for me, it's, if you have not heard this song, guys, when it used to come on the radio for me, if I was out working, I used to stop, I used to listen to it. It was one of those types of songs for me. And I'll hand it over to you now, Simon. I had to butt that in before I finished.
That's a good point. Yeah, it's a really nice personal thing.
You know, it is a real connection with the song a lot, just from a perspective of I love Clapton, I love his guitar playing. It's a big moment in music. If you go back through the 70s and the 60s and everything, it's right up there. It deserves that credit. You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it's one of the greatest songs ever written. Let's be fair. It's one of the greatest rock songs ever written. You know, it's undeniably. You know, as you so rightly said, it does elevate the album to a different plane. I mean, it's amazing, isn't it, that it's track 3, side 4. You know, never mind, not opening with it or anything like that. It's track 3, side 4. And you know, and at that point, you arrive at one of the greatest rock songs ever written in my books. You know, and kind of Andrew, just following up thing. You know, there's the kind of the sort of the first part of the song is this great sort of howling, passion of Clapton, and Dave Marsh said, Dave Marsh is an American journalist, wrote Cream, Rolling Stone. He said, there are few moments in the repertoire of recorded rock where a singer or writer has reached so deeply into himself that the effect of hearing them is akin to witnessing a murder or a suicide. To me, Layla is the greatest of them all. I don't think I could put it better than that as a critique of the song. Yeah, I mean, I think that's the perfect. That's absolutely the key and the core to that. To Layla is that that he absolutely is reaching into himself so far. You feel it all, and that's why it's one of the greatest songs, because that in spite of the fact you've heard it a million times, it still has that gut-wrenching emotional core that make it special, really special for me. As a thing, So I mean, it's of course a 10 and a skip. No, a play. But I think okay, 10 and a play for sure. 12. It's a 12 and a play, not a 10. But one of the things I discovered, I don't know if you guys have read this, that the second bit, it's composed by Jim Gordon. But apparently they did 2 recordings of it. They wanted Bobby Whitlock to give it some more feel. So that piano bit is a mixture of Jim Gordon and Bobby Whitlock playing. I don't know which bits are which, but apparently mixed them together. So it's 2 takes mixed together, which is I never knew that before, which is really cool. But I mean, I think that coda bit is one of the loveliest things ever done, committed to record. It's I know some friends of mine who, in fact, they live in Melbourne. Brad, when they got married, they wanted to have that as their sort of leaving the church song stuff. So you can see why, because it's beautifully done, and kind of has a sort of it's not overdone, it's not overdone, and the piano and Dwayne Allman playing that beautiful slide, but way up higher, kind of, and off the fretboard, you can do a slide. Yeah, floating.
It's floating off.
Beautiful.
I never knew this for years, because I don't have a very good ear. But Dwayne Allman's slide apparently is just slightly out of tune because of the way that they spliced that with the first part of the song. So I'm looking forward to when I finally get the 50th anniversary records where they've adjusted the speed to listen to that song in particular. It'll be very interesting to see, how that goes. But look, it's a masterpiece. And after the storm of Layla, we get Thorn in the Garden, which is a gentle acoustic song by Bobby Whitlock. That Eric wanted Bobby to sing. I've read over the years that it was something apparently that Bobby said that he wanted put on the record, but I have to make it quite clear from the research that I've done, and it's from qualified sources, it was definitely Eric Clapton wanted that song on there. But I still think Layla should have been the last song on that album. If I have one thing to say about the album, that would be the one thing I would change. I rate that song as 7, and I sometimes skip it.
For me, it's in the wrong spot of the record. I agree with you 100%, Andrew. How can you follow up Layla?
You can't, bro.
If you had 2 bands on the same bill and the first band was Layla, you wouldn't want to walk out on stage after that. So anyway, for me, it's a mellow ending. I guess they wanted to end on a mellow note, maybe in their way that they did the track listing for the record. Maybe it was just we've got to fill up that space, so we've got to put that there. I skip it a lot, but I'll give it 6 out of 10 because it is a good song. But I do tend to skip it a lot. I think it's more because once you almost need to take a nap after Layla. You know what I mean? It's they really put that in the wrong spot on the record. But I mean, that's just my opinion, and I think we all feel the same way on this show. So I'm not alone there. It's out of 10 for me.
Yeah, I think I'd agree. There's a couple of nice bits I read about that. About Tom Dowd said that he called this the perfect stereo recording. But I'm interested by the fact that Bobby Whitlock said that Eric, Dwayne, Jim, and Carl and myself all got round in one microphone, and then Tom Dowd came out and placed us just so that everyone was a certain distance in and out from the mic, and we did it just like that. Again, that kind of analog mixing thing before you've arrived at pressing the record button, which I think is really interesting. Moving people around so your volume is controlled by how far from the microphone you are. For me, it's just a sort of palate cleanser coda to the album. Really, it's kind of after that emotional maelstrom of Layla, that actually a kind of come down kind of song is not maybe not such a bad idea, to be honest, is it? But I'm an ABS. Frank. I'm also a bit. I did read that he'd written it about his dog, which I don't know about you guys. I just
missing from the plantation.
Yeah, I kind of feel like, if he hadn't told me that, I think I'd like it a bit more. I'd like to take a point off of the fact it's about his dog. Not like I've got anything against dogs.
About a dog too.
Is it really?
Yeah. Is it a skip for you, Simon?
It's not a skip. I do like it. I agree with Brad. It's a good song, and I think that I think that it's
singer-songwriter in you.
The singer-songwriter me, and I give it a 7. I think it's fine. I think it's a really good song, and I do like it, and I like the way it's recorded. I like the fact that they get round to do something. I just think that it probably suffers from being in the shadow of Layla, and to be honest, and it either should have been not. I agree with you about Layla finishing the album. If you get that, but I can understand why they put it on a bit. But so I give it a 7. I don't skip it because I do like it as a song. It's only a couple of minutes, so so I'm cool with it. But I like albums. I'll get to the end.
Look, I've enjoyed doing this series with you guys, and there's just I'm mindful of the fact that I'm quoting a lot from Bobby Whitlock, and I'm in awe of Bobby Whitlock because of the insights that he's given us in relation to this album. And I can't recommend his biography or his channel enough if you guys want to find out about what was going on. And if Brad and Simon and I have offered any kind of insight and thanks to Bobby, if you're ever watching this, Bobby, if you're ever watching this, Eric Clapton, thank you thank you guys for the music and for this album, because it's a masterpiece, and I think my co-hosts and the people in the chat agree. I just want to read, in my conclusion, just a little piece here from Bobby, which sums up my feelings, and then you guys can give your conclusion if that's okay. So this is quote Bobby Whitlock. At first, I didn't think we needed another guitar player on our Layla and Other Assorted Love Songs record. Eric was more than capable of taking care of that department himself. The first 3 songs give evidence of that. Eric is a great slide player and was quite capable of handling that on his own. But then it would have been a very different sounding album without Dwayne Allman. I remember when he came out and played with us live on those first few shows of our US tour, and how complete the sound was. Then when he left, how that completeness went with him. Because the album had 2 great guitarists who performed live with no void that we tried to fill. I believe if Dwayne had continued to work with us, we would have had more structure and longevity. He was a born leader. He had command of his ability to lead, so the respect to him, and etc. etc. Yeah. I like the fact that Bobby gives credit to Eric Clapton, saying that he could have pulled it off, but that magic that Dwayne Allman brought, and that's something that we all agree, guys, don't we? That that's what we're looking for, and this album gives us that magic. Thank you, Bobby. Thank you, Carl. Thank you, Dwayne, and thank you, Jim Gordon.
I think you summed it up for all of us. For me, the album is it's a masterpiece. I don't really want to sort of elaborate too much more now, because I think what you said was perfect. Right? If someone's trying to investigate any of these musicians on this record, guitar players that are not sure where to go to say Eric Clapton, for example, that's your answer. That to me is a pivotal point in music, in all their careers. Clapton, he was pouring his heart out in this record.
Yeah.
I don't really want to say much more than what you said, Andrew, to be honest with you. I'm quite with what you read out there from Bobby Whitlock. So yeah, that to me, it's an epic album. It's partly defined who I am as a musician. So yeah, it's a big album for me.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's one of the greatest albums ever made. I think it's one of the few albums that absolutely a double album is called for. I think there's a lot of albums where
single album on this one.
I think it's Kubrick Lover will correct me on this, but I think to quote the great B-movie horror director Roger Corman, there's no movie ever been made that wouldn't be improved by having 30 minutes cut out of it. And I think for the most part you could say that about a lot of other double albums, but this one absolutely not. I think every song is fantastic. I think it is a masterpiece in what in that out of great pain comes great art. And this is a great artistic record because it is so authentic. For me, that's the key word about it. It is an authentic record. Yep. It is an authentic display of where Clapton's emotional life and his emotional being were at that particular time, and that out of that comes a great truth. And this album is about a great truth. Unrequited love, and I don't think you can't fake it. You can't, that that's why it is such a great record, because it has that emotional core to it, and that truthful emotional core to it, that makes it a great record. And I think, and for me, it is, as I say, one of the few records that I think is worthy of double albumship without any question. So
Well,
I think
on a
my Dave
personal
Marsh
note-
quote cut it perfectly.
On a personal note, Simon, doing these two shows with you and Brad has been probably the highlight of my YouTube career so far.
That's cool.
I certainly appreciate the fact that you guys have been here, and the love that you guys have for the album, that authenticity, comes through, and if anybody's watching our channel, at least they're going to pick that up from us too. We're fans who aren't scared to talk about the dark times, or be critical about some aspects of some of the artists we're talking about. But before we wind up, so I've just got a little bit of housekeeping to do. So Carl is going to join Simon and I next Saturday. Simon's going to do, wait for it, it's been on the plans for a long, long time. It's Bob Dylan for Beginners. Now I'm particularly looking forward to that one, because I don't know a lot about Bob Dylan, and I know that Simon does, and I know that Carl has a bit of an interest there too. So I think in the context of this album and what Bob Dylan meant for a lot of the artists that we're following, there is a connection there. So I look forward to you, Simon, leading us to a conversation on that. And if I remember rightly, on Sunday, Brad is going to lead a conversation. What's the Led Zeppelin album you're doing?
Physical Graffiti.
Okay, so and then the week after that, Simon, then it's your pick for the album. So is there any homework that you need to give us for Bob Dylan? Is there anything that we need to do in preparation for Saturday's show?
You could listen to a few Bob Dylan tracks. I'd probably start off with I don't know, Bob Dylan's Greatest Hits, Volume 1, as a kind of starter. Yeah,
as a complete fresh cherry newbie, Bob Dylan's Greatest Hits.
Bob Dylan's Greatest Hits. Yeah. We can get. I mean, if you want an individual album, to get into, here we go. My controversial choice would be, if I was going to recommend an album to get you into Bob Dylan, I'd probably recommend National Skyline, because it's very tuneful. It's got Layla on it. It's probably his most straight singing voice as well. So I think that I'd recommend. As I say, it's a kind of country record, so in many ways. But in terms of, if you want a kind of straight, really, not that kind of Bob Dylan singing, but if you want a much more kind of melodic singing voice, he's at his most melodic singing on Nashville Skyline. But I think, as an intro to the oeuvre of Bob Dylan, I think Bob Dylan's Greatest Hits is the place to start.
Let's have a conversation. You can give us fill in some background there and stuff like that. I certainly look forward to that. And then we're going to do, on the Sunday, we're going to do this skip and play Physical Graffiti. Oh my gosh!
This is Bob Dylan and Physical Graffiti.
Oh my God!
Frankly, life doesn't get any better than that. Let me tell you. I'm thrilled to my core, Brad. Well done. It's going to make my Physical Graffiti, because you can never have too much Led Zeppelin.
Get the lead out.
Yeah. Well, look, I look forward to both shows. So look, I'll send you guys the link for both. So we'll see you Sunday, Brad.
Fantastic.
And if you want to tune in to check us out when we're going live with Carl on the Bob Dylan show. We'll be on Saturday, probably. What can you remember? What time Carl said he could make it? Was it 6 o'clock? About? Can you remember, Simon?
I don't know. Hang on, have a look. I can't. I don't know if you put. Did you put a time?
Oh, okay. I'll check with you.
Normal time.
Okay.
5. Is it, where is it?
Yeah.
Where's that thing? Messenger.
But he can't do Sundays because he's got to get. He's got to iron his suits for the week.
He's got to iron his suits for the week. Well done. It's. I don't think that. No, I don't. You didn't say a nut. You said Carl wants to do a show on Saturday the 29th.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll talk. I suppose it will be the time that we went live now, if that's okay.
Yeah,
we'll
that's
do
fine.
that for a couple of hours.
Yeah.
But
Fine,
yeah, if you guys want to learn about Bob Dylan, from someone who knows a shitload about Bob Dylan, we look forward to that. And
hold on. Look at this. I'm going to take you into the sitting room. God,
hold on.
About to kill myself. And this will make you laugh. Just in case, this will make you very worried. Okay, just in case. Look, can you see that?
You're frozen. Where are you, Simon? He's frozen. I suppose he took us to go and see his record collection.
All right, I'll come back eventually. You back?
Okay. Yeah, you're back.
Look, I'm just going to say, if you didn't got enough Bob Dylan books.
Yeah. Bob Dylan for beginners. I said Bob Dylan for beginners, man.
I've gone on mute. It doesn't matter.
All right. All right.
You'd enjoy that. Is it going to come back? Am I going to come back?
Is he
coming back?
Land
of sound?
Is he coming back? Are you back? He's back.
What I've done.
So Brad's
muted myself
going to
in
show
some
something
weird and crazy way.
Look at that.
Guitar. Yeah, so I can't hear myself. Is it gonna?
That's beautiful.
Look at that, lovely.
Okay, so that's a 2000 and early 2000 model, Brad, is it?
Yeah, it's got the
Can I hear myself?
The noise.
We can hear you.
That's a 2000 and early 2000 model, Brad, is it?
Okay.
Yeah.
We can hear you.
Can I hear myself? We can hear you. It's a 2000.
Okay, I can hear myself twice. That's my 89, Brad.
Beautiful.
Well, I can't hear you. Okay, I'll just leave.
So that's my 89 that I got in 91. So I've had this guitar for a long time.
Wow. She's
Got
beauty.
the noiseless. Got the I've forgotten. Lace sensor pickups.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on the single ply guard? You like it?
No, I don't. No, I don't. And if you can have a look here, you can see here it's thin.
Yeah.
And it's cracked. It's cracked here. But I'm too scared, Brad, to replace it.
Yeah.
I'm too scared to replace it. So exactly. I'm going to keep it. I'm going to keep it standard.
My thoughts are, like, I know Clapton likes 50 strats and 60 strats, but I mean, if you're going to do a signature model, wouldn't you put like a 2-ply guard on it or 3-ply?
Yeah, it is shit. It's a shit pickup. I agree with you.
But I mean, it is what it is. It's a pewter grey. It's for people who can't really tell, it's like a gunmetal grey colour. It's it's really special. It's not
just the weather.
Yeah, it's really special. It's got something. It's a good guitar. Clapton. So,
What were you saying about it, Brandon? About the signature? About you wish they'd done something with this? As it's a
Pickup.
signature model.
The scratch plate, Simon. It's a single ply scratch plate, and it's wobbly. It's a wobbly one. It's not a
Right.
2-ply or a 3-ply. So your one there would be a 3-ply.
No, it's not single ply.
Oh,
One
it's
on
a
this-
single ply.
This is a single ply. See,
Oh, okay.
that's all right. It doesn't. Interestingly, it doesn't seem to wobble much, which is quite interesting. No,
Yeah, I don't.
it seems to be fairly nailed down. But 50s is single ply, isn't it? And 60s is 3-ply.
that's a 2-ply card.
Yeah.
It's, I don't know if you can see. It's thicker, and it's
yeah.
2-ply. So it doesn't actually doesn't warp. It doesn't bend. I guess in heat and gigs and stuff, it might crack, but like it's.
I don't know. Yeah.
So the
That's
thing
interesting. Yeah.
where they didn't really do a good job on that. That's my opinion. But if that's what Clapton prefers, maybe I don't know. But,
Or if they've gone for the authentic,
gives them
50s
away.
look, it's cheaper.
He gives them away after he's played them for one gig or a couple of gigs.
Does he?
Well, basically,
Yeah.
he auctions gives them away for auctions for fundraising and stuff like that. Still, so.
Oh, fair enough. Yeah, good. Yeah.
So you guys are awesome. We've been on air for 2.5 hours.
Yeah, but worth every penny, I would say.
Yes. Thank you very much. You guys are champions.
But I like that. Nelson Rodriguez went to Hibbing to touch Bob Dylan's house. Well done, Nelson.
Oh, well, he's going to join us next week then for sure.
Excellent.
He's probably not a beginner though. He's probably got a PhD in Bob Dylanology.
His Bobness, yeah. Thanks everyone in the chat. Nice, good, great. Thanks for your contributions, and we'll see you next week for Bob Dylan. Take care. Stay safe. Bye.